Here's some tech we haven't talked about in years, but apparently Xiaomi is breathing life into this subject again with the idea of charging your devices over the air. And because it's more recent and Xiaomi is a very large, very big brand in China, it's making people think this might actually end up happening. You just might want to wear some lead-lined clothes. Let's begin. So Xiaomi was basically just kind of bragging about what their R&D came up with, and I say that because they didn't announce anything for sale, and they didn't announce any phones that have this technology built into it, but yeah, they've essentially unveiled this Air Charge tower that can, from a meter or two away, charge devices nearby it. Not very quickly, only about 5 watts, but it does mean that you wouldn't have to use MagSafe, you wouldn't have to rest your phone on a Qi charger. Idea being, it enters the proximity of the tower, and boom, it just starts charging. And to be completely frank with you, this technology is not new. The idea of sending power over the air has been done. The trick is not killing everyone in the room as you do it. So yeah, emitting microwaves and high focused energy to charge up a battery, that has existed for a long time. But the reason you don't see it in everyday places is because it's so dangerous, and there's all kinds of memes you can make here. I'm sure it's gonna be looking like Terminator as soon as you plug that thing in. But the reason I'm gonna say here, don't get your hopes up, is my prediction is Xiaomi's either marketing department or their R&D was simply not thinking this through when they announced it, because we've actually seen this type of tech in closed door situations, you know, in a lab. Lots of big companies, even Apple has partnered with other startups that are working on true over-the-air charge technologies. They've tested out this stuff and then it just never quite makes it mainstream. I mean, they do their best to explain it on the webpage, but honestly, it kind of sounds made up. I'm not saying that to say Xiaomi is fraudulent or anything. I'm just saying it just sounds kind of weird. I mean, listen to this. The core technology of Xiaomi's remote charging lies in space positioning and energy transmission. Xiaomi's self-developed isolated charging pile has 5-phase interface antennas built in, which can accurately detect the location of the smartphone. A phase control array composed of 144 antennas transmits millimeter-wide waves directly to the phone through beamforming. On the smartphone side, Xiaomi has also developed a miniaturized antenna array with built-in beacon antenna and receiving antenna array. Basically, they were like, what are the big words we can use? And with those big words, we will make it sound like power goes to phone over the air. But I actually remember talking a lot about this technology back in 2017 when Apple was investing in over-the-air charge companies, as well as startups like Pi were bragging about how their technology will let you charge devices within about a foot to 3 feet around this little tower. And the tech is only a couple years away, and then here we are, it's 2021. That tech never really made it mainstream. So let me be clear here, I really want it to be true. I would love to be wrong on this, and I would love it if Xiaomi found a way to do this safely and found a way for it to not harm, you know, people or do any type of damage to the biological side of things around it. But something tells me that when you have this many other companies probably all trying to achieve the same thing, I'm sure Apple has some moonshot project internally where they're constantly trying to figure out, you know, how can we charge something over the air, because then we wouldn't even have to ship cables with our phones. And of course, Apple, probably more than anybody else in the smartphone industry, wants to remove the charge port. They want to eventually reach that point, and I think a lot of people could make the argument, if we started getting to a stage where you only had to plug in a little tower somewhere and then your phone could charge as long as it was within a certain radius of that tower, that would make the transition to a portless phone probably a lot easier to justify than opposed to everybody just keep buying your MagSafe. But because no other company has really come forward with this, I personally have my doubts that Xiaomi has come up with something that's inherently and uniquely different from everybody else. And the main reason I believe that is Xiaomi with this announcement revealed no timeline. They weren't saying to expect this to come out at a certain time or these phones will have this technology next year or anything. They basically just said, we came up with it and we might use it someday. And because of how vague that is, and the fact that they don't want to do this at like an event, or, you know, they're announcing this via like a tweet, that's what's making me think you guys have probably come up with the same stuff everybody else has in a lab. It's like, yeah, when we have everybody in the hazmat suits and we clear the area, we can charge the phones. But when it comes to actually mass producing this thing and letting everyday people use it, there always seems to be something that gets in the way, and typically it's actually a good thing because we don't want chargers giving everybody cancer because we didn't think through the technology. That would be very bad, and I know Samsung in particular can have a bad history of shipping products that hurt people, so they're probably very concerned with releasing this type of tech as well. But either way, it's exciting technology to imagine. The fundamental issue with it is it always seems to be about 3 years away. When I read about it in 2017, it was like, oh yeah, no, this could be mainstream by 2020. And we're reading about it today, and it's like, oh yeah, this could be mainstream in 2024 or something. It'll get better. So I'm glad to see Xiaomi's working on it, and I hope other brands are working on it too, because if there is legitimately a way to do this safely and securely in the future, I think it would be like one of the biggest game changers we've seen in the smartphone market for a long time. But I guess I'm still falling back on that too good to be true argument here, and I'm like, yeah, if everyone else was trying to do it and they couldn't get it to work, and you're coming forward saying you have done it but you don't want to say how much it's going to cost or when it's coming, that makes me doubt the validity of these claims. So try to keep your expectations realistic with Air Charge technology, and let me know if you think this is different. Do you think Xiaomi has truly, found some type of alien tech? They found a meteorite and this had the future to Air Charge technology, and because that meteorite landed in China, Apple can't access it unless Tim Cook has to make a few flights over there. But we'll see. All that good stuff, feel free to let me know. This is your Apple Shape here. I'll see you guys in the next one.